we have some exciting news. The first and third Sundays of September and October, we get to be live in person, along with Zoom if we can handle it. But we get to rent our old location where we used to meet. Isn't that exciting?
Yeah.
So we're going to rent the activity options, our former building, and hallelujah, David, for keeping up a great relationship with them. And so all the way through from the first Sunday to the middle of October or so, the third Sunday, we're going to have guest speakers, and that list will be coming out soon. But I'm really excited. Yay, team!
Yeah.
And so, we do have one more virtual Sunday available. So if you have another idea of another speaker, I could call, but I haven't heard from Wendy Burrows yet. So anyway, it's all good.
Well, congratulations. That's wonderful. That'll provide good transition, and it'll give you a variety of speakers as well that we haven't had for a couple of years. So good. All right. Anything else that anyone else wants to bring up?
Dinner club?
No. Dinner club? When's that happening?
Next week, Saturday. Chris, do you have audio?
Yes, I do. We couldn't get in on the iPad this morning, so I'm just on our cell phone. Dinner club is at Bojo's at 5:30 Saturday the 21st. We're out on the patio. So anybody who'd like to join us, I sent the email out this week.
Bojo's is down on 52nd or 53rd, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
And Wadsworth.
Yeah, okay.
Right behind Discount Tire, just east of Wadsworth.
Okay.
The pizza place. It's really great.
We have a nice covered patio. So that's the plan, since we aren't going to go inside anymore until Delta has been taken care of and people are vaccinated.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, let's get back to our stream here. If you'd like to give me a call, by all means, you can take my phone number, 720-935-3999, or the email address, livingwaterunity@comcast.net, or leave your email or phone number in the chat box. Okay. And Doug, if you would please. And our affirmation of Living Water Unity. Living Water Unity is a thriving spiritual community inspired to embrace and share our abundant good now. I'm empowered for joyful living by expressing God in each moment. And I hope you all were saying that to yourselves. I didn't hear anybody chiming in, but that's okay. So, today's word is joy. Who would like to share the daily word this morning?
I can do that. I haven't done that for a while.
Okay.
Today's word is joy. I say yes to the joy that invites me in this moment. Joy is the call of my heart. Whether I am at work or at play, I bring a spirit of joyfulness to everything I do. More than a mood or an attitude, joy is part of me and mine to live and to share. Like all aspects of my divine identity, joy flowers in my consciousness when I hold joyful thoughts and feelings. I express my joy as the excitement of anticipation, fascination at a new discovery, deep satisfaction in a relationship, and the tranquil glow from communing with God in prayer. My joy is contagious, and I love to share in it. I have feelings of joy when I take part in a friend's or family member's joyous moments, their celebrations and accomplishments. I feel quiet joy when I offer encouragement, and even when I give comfort, grateful to share the care and love of God. Our scripture for today is from the first chapter of Thessalonians, chapter 5, verse 16. Rejoice always.
Thank you, Pam. And by the way, that word Thessalonians, that's a hang up for many ministers as well.
Yeah, good to hear.
Yeah. So, our affirming prayer, as we acknowledge that this moment that we are in right now, this very instant that we are residing, is when we can commune with God. We can't commune with God about tomorrow, or we can't commune with God about yesterday. We commune with God right here, right now. So allowing ourselves to focus here, now. We rest in the awareness that God's love has no end and is a power that knows no bounds. God's healing power of divine life is restoring, healing, and revitalizing our world and our lives in this very moment. We let go of any fears or anxieties, affirming that divine order is now, has always been, and will always be at work in our lives. We bless our global family with the vision of fulfilling and empowering relationships filled with an abundance of love. And we express our own divinity in all we think, say, and do. And I invite you, as we hold this prayer in this crucible of unconditional love, allowing this message to sink in, to rest. We breathe in and breathe out, allowing this message to resonate the very center of our being. And so it is. And I invite your prayers now as we hold each one individually in this crucible of unconditional love.
Asked for prayers from my granddaughter Jennifer Ryan, who's having surgery today, her birthday.
Oh. And so it is.
This is Rachel. Kim, we'd like to ask prayers for Mary and Doug. Tim's twin sister Mary and her husband Doug have COVID. And Doug entered the hospital and is in the ICU since yesterday.
Mary is recovering at home.
And so it is.
I would like to offer prayers for Tony, who is suffering from kidney failure.
And so it is. I'd like to offer prayers for Betty for peace of mind and strength, comfort and healing. And so it is.
I offer prayers for Rose and her neck and hip soreness, and that her general aches and pains are eased, and she feels better.
And so it is. I'd like to offer prayers for Terry, for healing, comfort, peace of mind. And so it is.
Today for Civil Air Patrol.
I'd like to offer prayers for Richard, for a friend of mine who recently passed, for his transition into the all that is all. And so it is. Are there any other prayer requests? For all of those prayers unspoken, for all of those in need of prayer, all of those facing trauma in their lives in various aspects of their life, relationships, finances, careers, safety. We hold this planet in this embrace of unconditional love, seeing it lifting and transforming each and every person's life as they realize that the presence of the all that is all is with them regardless. And so in this awareness, in this consciousness, we give thanks. And so it is that together we say, Amen. So, Doug, I think you may have some music for us this morning. I didn't ask you earlier, though. I'm assuming that you do.
Yeah, I don't have anything today.
Nothing
Sorry.
today, huh? Well, okay. Well, why don't you turn on the demo track of your new keyboard and see what comes up.
Oh, yeah. Like the long-awaited new keyboard, it might be going back. I think, but that's a whole nother story. But in deference to the air we've been breathing the last week, I'm going to play "Smoke Gets in Your Eyes" by Jerome Kern. Even though we sort of have a clear day, I guess the prediction is it's coming back. So here we go.
Yeah. Thank you, Doug. So, you may recall a story that I think I shared it several years ago, that When I was a fresh young sprout of 19, I decided that college was not my thing at that particular point in time. In fact, college was deciding that I wasn't meant for college at that particular point in time. My grade point was dismal, and Vietnam War was raging. I was looking for alternatives. I didn't want to be drafted, but I was about to lose my student deferment. And so I looked at all of the reserve programs, the Air Force Reserve, the Navy Reserve, because you see, I really didn't want to go to Vietnam. And the only thing that was open was the Marines. And so I signed up for the Marines. It was not because I wanted to go serve my country. In fact, I wanted to not go to Vietnam. But the Marines, I guess, had more openings in their reserve program because most people thought, well, if anybody's going to get called up, it's going to be the Marines. And so anyway, I signed up for Marine Reserve. And I'd not gotten on an aircraft before. The first time that I had flown was when I went to San Diego, to Marine Training Depot in San Diego, boot camp. And so following the instructions dutifully, I took my instruction packet that was handed to me at Stapleton, and I went to San Diego, got off the plane, went to the Marine sergeant that was in the lobby who was responsible for directing all the new recruits to where they need to go. And he said, okay, go outside, stand by the bus stop sign at attention, and you'll be picked up shortly. So dutifully, I went out, stood at attention. There were three of us there, side by side, standing at attention. Not very conspicuous, I'm sure, and the locals, of course, knew what this was all about. Marine training was just down the road. In fact, it was just adjacent to the airport. So we were standing there, and up pulled a car with a couple of guys in it, and the window rolled down, and the passenger said very loudly to the driver, "You know what the sound is when shit hits the fan? Marine!" Well, that was that was my introduction to Marine boot camp, and yeah, it was an interesting period of time in my life. We're at another interesting point in time in our life, in our collective life. First of all, I have a bit of a retraction to make. Last night I had been reading articles about climate change for a couple of hours, and I was just not in a very hopeful mood. So I made the comment that our affirmations and denials will not change the climate. Well, that's not strictly true. Fact is that affirmations and denials are effective ways of changing consciousness. Changing our consciousness will change the greater consciousness, and it takes time in most cases. But my retraction is one that it's not strictly true that affirmations and denials are inoperative. It's just that our time frame is very short. You may have heard of the UN report that came out this last week that the Secretary General summarized it by saying humanity is in code red. That is stark. It's frightening. And when we look around at the things that are going on, the fires, the heat waves, the floods, the intensity of the hurricanes from season to season, and this is not happening just locally, it's happening all around the planet. We are indeed in a crisis of climate change. What was projected to be 2050 and 2060 is now happening now. These intense heat waves that are coming, that we have seen up in the Northwest. These are red flags, big red flags for our condition as humans on this planet. But I do see that there is some movement in the legislature. Some senators that previously had denied that burning fossil fuels was affecting the climate at all, they're now starting to say, well, yeah, okay, I think Cassidy from Louisiana made a statement in the last couple of days that, well, yeah, burning fossil fuels is causing climate change, but, and there's the big but that often occurs, but to go off of burning fossil fuels is going to have a huge impact on our economy. Okay. Going back to that obstinance of listening to what science is telling us and reflecting and upon our actions and what is available to us. I recall in 2015, Senator Inhofe of Oklahoma brought a snowball into the Senate chamber, and he actually tossed it to the president of the Senate, who was presiding, and he said, "So this snowball, this is proof that we're not having global warming." So with the collective, oh my God, from most of the world that were paying attention. Well, anyway. So we are seeing some movement, but we're talking about just a few years that we have available before the tipping point is reached in many fronts with respect to the climate. And so, how are you feeling about all this? I mean, are you paying attention, or is this something that's of concern to you? Do you feel like it's something, well, let the next generation take care of it? What's going on with you about this? How are you feeling about it?
Well, this is Rachel here, and I have a friend who has a young daughter just entering into college, and she was distressed and worried about this situation, and she said, I think we owe our children an apology. We're not taking care of this sooner. And I said, I think we owe our children our help. I think it's all of us on board now. All of us on board. And part of spiritual faith is action.
Mm-hmm. A call to battle stations. Yeah. I hear the sirens going off underneath on the several decks below the battleship. Womp, womp, womp. Yeah, thank you. Anyone else?
I just have to second what Rachel said. There was a great discussion on Science Friday, and the speaker said the same thing. We can't wait. We can't sit around and say, well, that's a good goal to have by 2030. It's like, now, get moving. And he said the same thing. We not only have to apologize to the generation below us, they already hate the boomers anyway, but to get on board and help. And so we started talking about solar panels at our house instead of, well, it wouldn't save us that much money, kind of thing. And then, next car is going to be a hybrid or maybe not. And there was an article in the paper about they want to build a bullet train from Fort Collins down to Pueblo, and how many people that would remove from the roads, and could be an electric, whatever, those kind of initiatives, and really looking closely at what our government is going to do with our money, and insist that they look for alternative energy sources, insist upon it with our votes and our voices. because it's going to take big industry, big corporate changes to really make this all work. The guy said maybe, you know, individual citizen initiatives can maybe change things by 5%, but corporate and government interests can really change the whole scene.
So what about the jobs? I mean, if we move from fossil fuels, it could very well be that we'll have a major impact on our economy. What then?
Well, we're spending the money at putting out forest fires. That's where, you know,
Yeah.
there's a lot of cost into what's going on right now, and there's going to be a lot of cost in putting up 10-foot seawalls around cities along the coast. I mean, there'll be a lot of jobs. You know, we're not talking about turning the earth back to where it was 200 years ago. We're just hoping so it doesn't get worse. You know, if we follow the initiative, you know, some of these predictions.
Well, one of the things about the UN climate report that came out was that the effect that is currently in place, the processes that are currently embedded in the terms of the change of climate, is going to have an effect for not just years or decades, but centuries. And so we are, it's not about holding on to what we have today. It's about keeping these in place things from getting much worse. And you look around and you say, oh my God, how are we going to do this? I mean, we've got politicians that 6 years ago were bringing snowballs into the Senate as some kind of proof. We've got people, the senators, that are saying we can't switch off of fossil fuels because that's going to have a huge loss of jobs. Oh my God, please.
Small changes that we all make a big difference together. Together we can. And I think part of it is legislating changes. I know that I can't remember where I read that school buses are becoming electric. Mm-hmm. And there's so much more access to plug-ins. And I know Jim and Sue Browning have a Tesla, and I'm sure they can testify to all the increase in availability for plug-ins for electric cars. So I think there are scientists who are really working on getting that to be an improved, I don't know, an improvement in society so that we can help our climate.
And I will continue in my devil's advocacy role here as we go. I know. I'm trying to make a point, so bear with me here. So we look at the question of lithium and availability of lithium and the recycling of electric batteries for electric vehicles of all sorts, from semis down to scooters. We have a major problem there as well. The recycling of those components is very, very difficult, and Tesla has said that they are on the cusp of refining that recycling project so that 94% of the components of the batteries can be reclaimed at a minimal carbon footprint being affected. That's wonderful. That's great. And where is it? We need it now. We don't have time to waste. We can't sit back on our butts and say, well, someone else can take care of it. I'm not smart enough to do that. I don't have enough influence to do that. I don't have the resources to do that. That doesn't cut it. We are in code red, and we need to, in each and every circumstance where we can, we need to be effective in our proposal, in our promotion of the situation in which we are resting. And fear will get in our way. The opportunity for us to reflect upon what role we have is going to be obstructed by any substantial fear that we may have that I'm not enough, I can't do it, it's not up to me, I don't have the skills, resources, time, whatever. that doesn't cut it anymore. We're not in the position, we don't have the luxury of saying, somebody will figure it out. There are so many opportunities for us to devolve into a chaotic society, whether it be through the breakdown of agriculture and the resulting famines that could occur, whether it be in the increase in temperatures and the effect on the nation's forests, the world's forests. I mean, we're talking about the Amazon having a significant risk of becoming much more of a desert than it presently is. I mentioned last week the Atlantic Meridional Overturning Circulation, the AMOC. The AMOC is a system of currents that runs from South Africa to the Greenland area, and the Gulf Stream is part of that. We hear a lot about the Gulf Stream and how it carries warm water up into northern Europe. That AMOC is a current that is essential for maintaining the world's climate as it is. Even though it's just running in the Atlantic, there are other currents also in the Pacific and Southern Ocean that have a similar kind of purpose. But the effect of the Gulf Stream shutting down is going to bring temperatures to northern Europe similar to those in Siberia. And that's going to have a significant impact. That's just on northern Europe, but it's also going to have, if the Gulf Stream and the AMOC shuts down, then it will have an impact on the rainfall that we get in North America, the rainfall we get in South America, the rainfall we get in Africa. It is going to have a significant impact. And the problem is that the people who are studying the AMOC, the Atlantic Meridional Overturning Circulation, I'm trying to get that down because we are going to hear a lot about that. The scientists who are studying it have said that current is the weakest it's been in 1,000 years. And I don't know how they know that, but they are they are skilled at this process, and for the moment, unless I have contrary information, I'm going to trust that they know what they're talking about. Of course, I could turn to many conspiracy channels and find people saying, well, I saw on Facebook that the people who are studying the AMOC don't know what they're doing. So I'm going to tell that to all my friends, all my neighbors, and I'm going to dispute anything that scientists have to say. Well, okay. So the issue, though, is that we are in a point now where the fresh water coming from Greenland that's melting off the sheets in Greenland, that fresh water has a different density, and as it flows into the North Atlantic, it will have an effect on the AMOC. There are scientists studying it that say, we don't have much time, it's near collapse. If that happens, we're going to have weather catastrophes all over the planet beyond what we have now, perhaps dwarfing what we have now. So there can be a lot of fear, and I want you to be aware that fear can be not just in yourself, but it can be out there, and a lot of screaming and yelling about it, like I'm doing now. But you may not hear what I'm about to tell you. And what I'm about to tell you is that even though that is happening, we have the opportunity to shift how we live our lives, how we encounter the events that are occurring in around us. And when we feel empowered to make those changes, to live our life differently, then we will have we will have the power to shift our lives, the way that we encounter the events, and perhaps, yes, even how the events unfold. I've spoken in the last several weeks about the fundamentalist unity, the moderate unity, and the liberal unity, centering on this idea that we have the power to change our lives through our thoughts, through our denials and affirmations, through our meditation, through our prayer. We have the opportunity and the power to make those changes. And I've described the fundamentalist unity as those people saying that, well, our thoughts alone are all that's necessary to change the events out there. And so our thoughts alone bring the events into our lives. The moderates would say that our thoughts affect those things that we're personally connected to. And the liberals will say our thoughts are all about how we encounter, how we respond to the events, regardless of what the events are. So from the fundamentalists through the liberal unity thinkers, we have the opportunity to change at least how we respond to the events, possibly changing the events of which we're personally affected, or possibly changing the events themselves. Okay. So how do we do this? So how is it that we have all of this fear going on out there? How do we respond to that fear? What do you have to say?
Well, first of all, I mean, it's so easy, and I totally understand. It's so easy to run around, panic, you know, because it's scary.
Mm-hmm.
Say it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we can look at how we live our own individual lives. That's the starting point. You know, do you sit around affirming that the air is clearing and then go out and pollute? You have to act in your own life. And we need to do all we can, because beyond that, we need to find our own roles in making a difference. And we can't all be the scientists to develop the new technologies and the new systems that will create the new jobs that will replace the old harmful jobs. And some people they have to be retrained. I know, like my son does HVAC, conventional HVAC. I know another young man, he's learning how to do solar. He is doing well with that. We need to make changes in our own lives first, but then we need to find our role. We each have a different role. But where can you reach out? What organizations can you reach out to? What work can you do? What people can you reach that will move beyond yourself? And we may connect to larger organizations by doing that. I'm connected to a few organizations right now that are working on reforestation and taking a course from Gene Houston about all of this. It's a catalyst course. It's too hard to explain right here, but we need to move our feet too.
So what role does fear play? Is fear useless, or does fear have a purpose here?
I would say fear has points to something that we need to work to correct, something that needs to be corrected. We can just conquer fear and express love, of course. But when we're feeling fear, maybe there's something there. It's telling us we need to address something and actively make a change.
I absolutely agree with that. And I would say it's like pain in the body. It alerts you to something is wrong. It's a good thing. And this is pain in our earth, our home.
I read a really good book by Bill Gates called How to Avoid World Disaster. And when you talk about what needs to be done and tell people, as soon as you come to the point where you say you have to quit raising animals for food, they say forget it. And that's it. They don't want to hear it anymore.
Yeah, I like my bacon. Nobody's going to take bacon away from me. Over my dead body will you have my bacon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we also have to remember that we are powerful manifestors. We can use our unity teachings and act as a community to affirm and deny and visualize and intend that our world is climate is improved, along with all those little things, and just speaking up as much as we can to people who are denying that there is a problem. So I think if each of us intends improvement and visualizes improvement, that will go a long way also. We have to remember we are a community together that can manifest change. Look how quickly we sold our building. Look at how we're going to be able to rent our old space. My gosh, that manifesting is wonderful. And I've seen great manifestations in my life and in this community's life. So that's part of it too, to look at the positive side of what we can do.
The fear is a great motivator, and it can be a burden if we hang on to it. Getting motivated, getting off the couch, getting our shoes on, and getting out there and doing what needs to be done. I'm as much a I enjoy my time on the couch as much as anybody, but we are in a position now where we need to move. We need to make changes. We need to activate our own power to make these changes occur. And yes, when we pray, we need to move our feet, and we need to pray. That is to say that we need to focus on consciousness as well as action. I'd like to share with you a passage here. It comes from Mark 13. There it is. So this is near the end of Jesus' ministry. As Jesus came out of the temple, one of his disciples said to him, "Look, teacher, what large stones and what large buildings." Then Jesus asked him, "Do you see these great buildings? Not one stone will be left upon another. All will be thrown down." Now, put this in the context that the temple was the center of Jewish life for centuries at that point in time. It had been rebuilt in the 6th century BCE, and it was, at that point, for 500 years, it was the center of Jewish life. It had been expanded. It had been it was a point of devotion for the people of Israel, and the idea that Jesus was putting forth was, hey, this is not permanent. This is going to change. This is going to be torn down. So when he was sitting on the Mount of Olives opposite the temple, Peter, James, John, and Andrew asked him privately, "Tell us, when will this be, and what will be the sign that all these things are about to be accomplished?" Then Jesus began to say to them, "Beware that no one leads you astray. Many will come in my name and say, 'I am he,' and they will lead many astray. When you hear of wars and rumors of war, do not be alarmed. This must take place, but the end is still to come. For nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there will be earthquakes in various places. There will be famines. This is but the beginning of the birth pangs." Now, let me go back here. I didn't share that screen with you. Apologies. So the idea then that we are in the midst right now. Yes, we can be motivated. Yes, we can pay attention to the fear that is generated, and we need to get beyond that. Let me go back here and share this once again, because there's another passage. Got it. Okay, there's another passage that I want you to see, and come on, I know you can do this. Yes, there it is. So, near the end of that chapter, Jesus says, okay, given all this, beware, keep alert, for you do not know when the time will come. It is like a man going on a journey when he leaves home and puts his slaves in charge, each with his work, and commands the doorkeeper to be on the watch. Keep awake, for you do not know when the master of the house will come, in the evening, or at midnight, or at cockcrow, or at dawn, or else he may find you asleep when he comes suddenly. And what I say to you, I say to all, keep awake. Keep awake. We must be alert to what we can do, how we can provide, how we can facilitate this change that is necessary for us. We must keep awake. There is opportunity for us to identify the things that we can do. Perhaps it's merely to talk about it, to engage our friends, to engage our family, to engage our neighbors in conversations regarding this. There is a tendency for people to put their heads in the sand, to be the ostriches when danger arrives. But talk about it. You can spend time with friends and family. You can, they can help you through those times of high anxiety. Take care of yourself. Be aware of the amount of rest you get, the nutrition you get, of the exercise you get. Recognize that you, as a vehicle of change, need to be healthy. You need to be able to devote your time and to be energized for this work. And at the same time, don't dwell on the pictures of disaster or the thunder in the background. Don't dwell on the tragedies. Be motivated, and then identify what you need to do and step into the process. But you don't have to immerse yourself in the unhealthy imaging. Take one thing at a time. Allow yourself to recognize that, oh, here's something that I can do now, and do it. Here's something else I can do now, and then do that. Oftentimes, the immensity of the problem can be overwhelming. But if we are allowing ourselves the recognition that this is something I can do, let's do it. And do something positive. Maybe you want to give blood, or maybe you want to help people who are homeless, or maybe you want to volunteer at the food bank. Volunteering is a way to engage your physical and your mental into the process of supporting that movement that you want to see. And of course, avoid drugs and excessive drinking. I don't know why they say excessive drinking, because I recently read an article that said there is really no good that comes from drinking alcohol. Yeah, it gives you a buzz. Yeah, it helps you relax. Yeah, you know, so there are some pleasures that come from it. So I'm not sure what excessive drinking is about here. But anyway, and then ask for help. Be willing to say, you know, I'm having difficulty. I'm having anxiety, or I need help with this project, or we are not islands unto ourselves as much as I would like to think I am. But we need to be willing to step out and say, hey, you know, I need some help with this. There is opportunity for us to address this spectrum of issues before us, be fearful of the outcome unless we do something, and then set that fear aside and step into this process of helping, of progressing, of encouraging others to participate. So we have the power, but we can often get hung up on the stuff that is in our lives. I'd like to share with you a passage that came to us this morning, in fact, from Daily Word. There we go. I say yes to the joy that invites me in this moment. This message is essential to our being effective in this practice that we're about to engage. Let me close that. Okay. And in 1 Thessalonians 5:16, rejoice always, even in the face of disaster, even in response to catastrophe, even in the presence of tragedy. Rejoice always. That joy is an essential energy that allows us to keep away from our fears, to move beyond our fears, and to be in a place where we are capable of expressing love. Because fear is that obstacle. Fear is that thing that will get in our way. Rejoice always. Well, let me share with you this music. One of my favorite groups, no longer together, but they actually came out of Boulder.
In the time you have, in the place you are, do all you can. Do all you can. And the poor. Somebody asked, why do you do these things? She said, this is what I came here for. She said, do all you can with what you have. In the time you have, in the place you are, do all you can. Do all you can with what you have. In the time you have, in the place you are, do all you can. Do all you can. is a gift they gave to us to share wherever we go. Be the change you wish to see in this world. Now I understand what they wanted us to know. You can do all you can with what you have, in the time you have, in the place you are. Do all you can. Do all you can with what you have, in the time you have, in the place you are. Do all you can. Do all you can. To see in the world, do all you can. Do all you can. Do all you can.
Yeah. So, there is before us great opportunity for us to express our power. Let's use it. Let's do it. Let's take just a short time here for some meditation. Allowing ourselves to slough off this negative energy, to let go of the fear, allowing that fear's only purpose to be motivation, and then let it go. Step forward. What can I do? How can I make a smidgen of a difference? How do I need to change to be more effective in this present circumstance? Allow that question to come again, hour by hour, day by day. What can I do here, now? What is it for me to help? And so it is. Let me share with you one more thing. Our community is dependent upon your support. And so as you consider offering your support, your financial support to this ministry, I'd like you to hold that thought in mind and know that divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I give in love because I trust in God. And thank you. Thank you for your support through the years. Thank you for your support now. And thank you for your support in the future. Doug, if you would, please. Thank you, Doug. And all together, with your microphones open. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God
enfolds us.
The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us.
Wherever we are, God is well. And so it is.
I would like to mention, I don't know